Hello, I'm Sage Fox. I'm speaking today on development, morality, and prosocial behavior in virtual environments. For decades, violent video games have been accused of instigating violent behavior in our youth. The underlying theory supporting this is known as the general aggression model. However, despite the repeated claims, recent studies have demonstrated that violent video games have almost no effect on children's aggression. In contrast to the inflated negative impacts, let's discuss some of the too often ignored benefits, namely moral development and positive social or prosocial behavior. We begin our discussion of moral development by introducing the argument of the gamer's dilemma. In brief, the gamer's dilemma argues that if we suspend our compass on moral rightness in virtual environments and state that murder in this environment is permissible, they must agree that pedophilia is also permissible. I contend the very concept of the dilemma is invalid as the argument itself is flawed. What the gamer's dilemma fails to account for is that virtual murder and virtual pedophilia aren't on the same level of moral decision-making. You see, morality isn't a flat concept against which all moral decisions are applied. Morality, especially in virtual environments, is layered. The first and foremost layer is universal morality. These are those moral behaviors that are intrinsic to all healthy humans. This is our drive to protect, to prevent harm, and to do no harm to children and innocents. The very idea of pedophilia, whether real or virtual, is abhorrent to most of humanity as it violates our human instinct to protect innocent children. Next, we have subjective morality. This is where our moral decisions are determined by context. Killing combatants in a video game is deemed morally acceptable as those being killed are either not real people or there are other players who've agreed to virtual killing and virtual death according to the rules of the game. At this layer, there is often discomfort over morally questionable acts such as harming innocents. A good example of this is running over pedestrians in Grand Theft Auto. While not objectionable in the context of the game, many players still avoid such behavior as it can cause moral discomfort. Lastly, we have applied morality. Players possess an understanding that while the virtual world suspends the consequences of actions that may be morally acceptable in virtual worlds, these same actions are often morally wrong, impermissible, and highly punishable in the real world. Let's move on to the development of moral behavior. Moral behavior is taught and rewarded in a variety of virtual settings. Cooperative video games, MMORPGs, or massive multiplayer online role-playing games like World of Warcraft, and morality-based games such as Fable or Shroud of the Avatar all require players to abide by the rules of the environment in order to be accepted. In many of these games, immoral acts are punished, either by social ostracization by other players or by negatively altering the nature of the player's avatar and how they are treated within the game. Moral decisions, even in virtual environments, can have very real consequences. Is it any wonder then that players develop a collective code of moral rightness? While this development of morality is a consequence of a desire to advance and win in virtual environments, it's been proven that this developed moral compass remains present in the real world long after they've logged out. In addition to nurturing a sense of moral rightness, prosocial behavior, that is, behavior that benefits other people or society as a whole, is developed by immersion in games and environments with prosocial content. Additionally, players who develop prosocial behavior tend to play more games with prosocial content, creating a cyclical effect of prosocial behavior leading to increased playing of prosocial games, leading to increases in prosocial behavior. And the cycle repeats. In summary, violent video games are not inherently bad and don't lead to violent behavior. Morality is layered and not simply a question of right or wrong. Moral development in virtual environments leads to moral understanding, and moral behavior in the real world and playing prosocial video games can lead to increased prosocial behavior. So when your kids are lost for hours in Minecraft or World of Warcraft, don't assume they're simply losing themselves in a game. Ask them questions that probe and explore their understanding of morality and help them to translate their new understanding of right and wrong into real-world scenarios.